And why would you continue to watch this crap?
Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. Podsednik hits one to deep right center field. Back at the wall. This ball is gone. Podsednik goes deep. Freebay charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series. To Durant, across the cage, he scores! Here's who's going to look for third time in 6 years. The White Sox are Stanley Cup champions. He will glove it through to Rizzo. It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
Second down and 4 off the fake. Fields climbing the pocket, stepping up, and sidearm slings to DJ Moore into Detroit territory. High snap, Fields handles and gets rid of it calmly. This is Cole Kmet, the tight end, who's in the little fake roll to the left, coming back to the right, and that is a special throw past the line to gain for Equanimous St. Brown. A fake to Herbert. Good job by Tyler Scott to get Hutchinson out of the way.
To see that every time if you're an official.
First and goal. Give it to Foreman. He walks in for the touchdown. An exceptional welcome back drive for Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears.
And welcome to Windy City Sports Talk Live. It's your boy, Brandon Combs, along with my guy, Ryan Fitzgibberish. Dude, look.
Did you get caught? The Bears got caught cheating on their wife.
Club
and Eberflus's window.
I don't understand what is going on in Chicago. I don't know what is going on with the Bears. I don't know what is going on with your White Sox. I don't know what is going on with the Bulls. The Cubs and Blackhawks look like they might give us something to cheer about in the next couple of years. But it's starting to baffle my mind. And we're going to talk about all this today. We're going to talk about every single Chicago team. They're all on the slate today. We got a lot to get through. So I want to get right to it. I want to get right to it. Look, there was a lot of stuff that happened yesterday. Justin Fields,
say that again,
absolutely tore up the Detroit Lions. And I watched the game live from my phone, kind of in front of me while I was doing the Ultimate Autographs show yesterday. So I wasn't able to see everything until later on last night when I actually rewatched the game. And Justin Fields yesterday, he proved that he was the guy, did he not?
I mean, I think the more important question is, does it matter? I mean, does it matter if he proves it at this point with this fan base and this coaching staff? If you're getting a new coaching staff, I guess it does make sense. Unless a guy is really invested in Justin Fields, you're going to be watching him play like this on another team next year. I just don't see what he could do. He could have 20 touchdowns over the next 7 games and 2 picks and a fumble, and it'd be like those 2 picks and that fumble. Jesus,
yeah,
this guy sucks.
And
it's ridiculous. We say a lot of names on the show, idiots or morons or whatever, and most of the time it's exaggeration. We probably don't totally mean it, but that game from the coaching side is just completely idiotic. Just completely mind-blowingly idiotic. I don't know what else to say. I mean, there's so many different plays we can choose from. But the best player on the field did not have the ball through 2 passes in the fourth quarter.
1 pass in the fourth quarter.
Oh, 1 pass.
Yeah. Even better. It was 1 pass in the fourth quarter. And not only was it 1 pass in the fourth quarter, but it was a pass that should have actually been caught. I believe that Justin Fields took that pass downfield, because he had two options there, because he did have DJ Moore open for a first down on a slant across the middle. DJ Moore was open on that play, but he also had Scott open downfield, and for whatever reason, Scott looks up and is like, "Oh, the ball's coming to me. Let me slow down." And I don't know what was going on. He did not overthrow the ball.
Yeah,
Doubting Thomas.
Right.
The wide receiver slowed down on the play.
Mooney does that a lot too, but
yes, but you can't do that in the NFL. And yes, I know it looks bad on the court, but that wasn't. If you want to put that game, they threw the ball one time. They threw the ball three. They ran the ball three straight times up the gut, and on 3rd and 7, they decided to run the ball again, and it was because they were okay. They were happy to play it safe. And this right here, we're going to show some video right here. I'm going to show you some video of the Bears playing it safe.
Toss play for Herbert. And there goes Khalil Herbert. A good run. Play clock winding down. 4-man rush. Fields with nothing down the field. Penalty marker flies in. Fields takes off. Fields with a big run. Fields still on his feet. And he slides down inside the 35. We'll have to check the penalty flag at the 45-yard line. This is an 8-minute, now 13-play series. 3rd and 7. They'll run it. They're perfectly happy right now to take a field goal.
Perfectly happy right now to take a field. Did you see what Fields was doing?
yeah,
The little shimmy. He was doing everything. Why do you take the ball out of your one playmaker's hands? Why do you take the ball out of the one guy on the field that can do whatever he wants and was doing whatever he wanted all night to the Detroit Lions, all afternoon, I should say, to the Detroit Lions, doing everything he wanted to do to that defense, and you decided just to run it? When did the Bears think that they were so good that they could just sit on a lead?
I don't know. Like I said, he's the best player on the field. It's one of the best games he's played. He's obviously playing out of his mind. He has the one run where it's basically a broken play. No one is. Seems like not a lot of people were open in the game. I haven't seen all 22s, but some of that I did see. A lot of guys weren't open. He's doing all that, and you run the ball up the middle so many times with a Khalil Herbert that's obviously at 80%, with a Roschon Johnson who's still a rookie. I mean, your best running back, Deontay Foreman, is on the practice squad for 5 games. That's how bad this coaching is.
It's not only just how bad the coaching, because look, yes, there's a lot of bad coaching on this staff. Matt Eberflus showed in his post-game presser, he showed again today why he cannot be a coach in the NFL, why he's not a head coach in this league. But you also at some point have to have the guys on the field perform. That defense yesterday with 4 minutes to go and having a 12-point lead and allowing that team to come back and do what they did was a joke. You've Jalen Johnson, you want to get paid, you've got to catch those 2 interceptions.
Oof.
You've got to make tackles on that last drive. You've got to stop them because you know they're running the ball. And then Eberflus, in his infinite wisdom, is like, yeah. I mean, we could have called a timeout there to slow things down, or we didn't want to call a timeout earlier because we wanted them to go ahead and rush. Well, which one is it? You want them to rush up to the line, or you want to kind of slow things down? Calling that timeout with 32 or 34 seconds, whatever the hell it was left, calling your first time out at that point instead of making them rush to the line and try to figure something out, and maybe they screw something up because he's Jared Goff and he had already thrown 3 interceptions that day. God forbid you do something smart. I'm a little pissed off. Can you tell?
Yeah, I just don't see the logic. I mean, and then you have Tremaine Edmonds, who basically plays like a wet sock. I mean, it was basically, a tackling dummy at that point for the running backs on the Lions. And yeah, okay, this can be the justification field show. Okay, All right, that's fine. I'll be on his side. He's the guy that ran for 100 yards, Megan TV. He's the guy that had 170 yards passing and a TD on a great pass to DJ Moore. And really, if this coaching staff took a step back for 1 second, took a step back for 1 minute, and looked at the game they were playing, which was 8 or 9 guys in the box, he should have had 250, 300 yards passing. Really. There was more. There had to be more open on some of those plays than just Tyler Scott. And why is Tyler Scott though? Why is DJ Moore the short crossing pattern on that play, and Tyler Scott is the long? I mean,
right? Watch this field. I've got the one from him to Moore. Watch this play.
Well, they always have a plan to stop Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep. White was matched up with him again. Fields climbs. Fields throws. Touchdown. 1-2 punch delivers. It's Fields to Moore for the lead.
Justin Fields, the Justin Fields justification show, whatever the hell you want to call it. His detractors say he doesn't run out of the pocket with his head up. He did it all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Did it all day yesterday. He had 3 sidearm passes yesterday that were perfect and on a dime. That throw to DJ Moore was a dart from 45 yards out. A dart. And put it in the only spot where the only player on the field that could catch it was DJ Moore. And he does that so often. And people still want to criticize this kid. Oh, well, yeah, great. He threw for 169 yards. Told you he wasn't it. He completed 70% of his passes.
Yeah, there was that one sidearm throw he did to DJ Moore where he actually where he brings the defender in on a string, and he's now doing that 3 or 4 plays a game now, where he brings the defender over and then he sidearm throws it to DJ Moore, which was pretty great. It's funny. I forgot who I was sitting with, but when Tyson Bagent does that sometimes, they're like, Fields can't do that. I'm like, I've seen Fields throw like fucking 30 sidearm throws. He's got like 10 arm slots. Like, what are we talking? And why are we even having this argument? Like I said, look at the way he played. There's no difference in that. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league last week. He's outplayed a lot better quarterbacks than Jared Goff too. Last year, definitely did.
A shout out to my guy, Richard Jerry, over there in Vermont, checking us out all the way from Vermont. Richard, what's going on, buddy? Appreciate you chiming in. He says, being a Bears fan. I am being a Bears fan. And you know what? I have every right to be pissed off, and so do all Bears fans.
I hope it's a white Christmas, Richard.
Hoffy, our guy from the Man Hour, says, combs your face as red as your hair, bro. Because I'm angry, man. I'm angry. This stuff, week after week, like at what point does this ownership, does this front office, does Kevin Warren, not the McCaskies, because I don't even think they know what a football is. At what point does Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles stand up and be like, we've got to get this clown out of here? We've got to get this clown out of here. He proves every damn week that he can't be a head coach. Listen, look, I'm going to play something for you guys real quick. Okay. And Fitz, I don't know if you've heard any of this. This was Matt Eberflus today meeting the media. We're going to play a little bit of it. Is this like the final 3 minutes of his press conference? And he said some things that really started to get me heated before the show, that really started boiling my blood, which is why my face is as red as my hair.
We just felt that was nice continuity at the time. Did the Lucas injury come as a result of the hit he took on? Say it again. The Patrick injury, the back injury. Yeah. Was that on when the Lions thought there was a fumble and they were returning? It looked like he got broadsided pretty good. Is that where he got hurt? And was that a legal block in your opinion?
Yeah. So we're obviously we're looking at that. We'll have the league look at that because the play was blown down, right? And then Lucas was pursuing, and then he ended up getting hit right there, and that's unfortunate. And I talked to the ref about it. And
no, Matt. That's not unfortunate. That's when you need to get as red as I am, and you need to get pissed off, and you need to have your players back. It was a bullshit hit, and our guy got injured because of it, and the league needs to do something. Oh yeah, that was unfortunate. He was pursuing. It was unfortunate. He needed to. You're an idiot.
We discussed it, and we'll leave it at that, and then.
That's all you do is leave it at
when you
that.
look at the 4 field goals you guys had.
throughout the game, second quarter, third quarter, and 2 in the fourth. What stands out to you as far as missed opportunities in those cases to get 7 instead of 3?
Really just about, executing on the third down. You got to do a good job of getting it on the third down. And if it was in our parameters for that particular part in the game, we were going to go like we did earlier in the game. And then you just got to do a good job of executing on third down. To me, that's what it's all about, and then you end up punching it in there.
It was 4th and inches, stupid. They did execute.
When you get a takeaway, from your group, like we did in the second half, you got to score and really do a good job. That's called complementary
Playing game.
And we got to keep doing that. And I showed the guys the difference between when we're last 7 games, when we were in the plus side of that takeaway margin. I know it didn't work out yesterday, but man, we put ourselves in position because of that. And that's the winning formula that we have to have going forward. And it's important that we protect it, which we did a good job. On T. Scott's,
You're not good enough to just protect a lead. You have to put one away.
And we talked about that today. And we got to keep doing it on defense. And that gives us an opportunity to win the game in the fourth quarter. Now we just got to finish.
Earlier in the season, we talked to you about just the idea of learning to win.
Yep.
What you guys went through last year. Is that when you have that lead, are these guys still just, are they lacking? Is it the not having enough opportunities with the lead in the fourth quarter, not having opportunities to close games out? These guys don't have that experience as much to know what they need to do, and even coaching staff too, just not being in these situations left that you still have to kind of learn to win in these situations.
Yeah, and I pointed to the Washington game and I pointed to the Vegas game. And I know that the opponent we played is a very good opponent. Yesterday
because you can't point to very many wins in your tenure.
We did finish there, and those are the moments that we did finish the right way. We finished with third down, fourth down stops on defense. We finished with takeaways, scoring on defense at the other side, and also the 4-minute offense. Both things work together, and you got to do a great job on 4-minute offense, and you got to do a great job on that 2-minute defense, and that's sacks and takeaways and end of the game on fourth down. So that's what we got to do together.
Thanks, Matt.
That's what we've got to do to stick together. That's
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
My rebuttal.
That sums up every Matt Eberflus press conference. This man earlier in that press conference said that Fields had the RPO option on third down. Fields had the RPO option on third down.
Fields launches deep. Got Scott out there, and it's incomplete.
This man slows down to catch the ball.
It's hard to watch. It's like Pee-wee football.
And what the hell was Darnell Wright doing?
Fields with Hutchinson coming. That ball is out. Darnell Wright kicks it in back of the end zone. 2 points for Detroit with 21 seconds left. And Hutchinson boots it out of there.
Aiden Hutchinson, one of the most premier pass rushers in this league. Darnell Wright, a rookie who hasn't been very good all year. Let's just be honest. He hasn't been very good all year. Decides that he can sidestep and block him from the side. It allows him a straight path. He doesn't stand up and get in front of him and put 2 hands on him. He steps to the side and tries to shove him off. What are you doing? You shouldn't have been in that position in the first place anyway. You shouldn't have been in that position in the first place anyway. You shouldn't have been down. It shouldn't have been 26 seconds to go to try to win the game. They shouldn't have been in that damn position. What the Bears did yesterday is a symbol of what they've been over the last 40 years since the McCaskies took over. What the Bears were yesterday and how they lost that game is a symbol of what this franchise is. It's a losing mentality. It's a losing culture. And they have no coach on their staff right now that knows how to win. Not one. And that's why when he was asked, oh, is this because they just haven't had that many options? Well, yeah, that's why I pointed to the Washington game and the Oakland game, two of the worst teams in the league that you happen to beat this year.
You beat a guy in Hoyer who's basically done and no one's told him yet.
Yes.
Someone should have told the Raiders and their fired coach and Sam Howell, who you somehow like, he's kind of terrible too. You point to those two goddamn games. Could have pulled off a white tee with a pack of Marlboro Reds rolled up in the sleeve with that hair.
Jeremiah, stop.
He has had some good games.
No, he has not been good.
Yes. He did good in that Raiders game. He had one of the better speed rushers, I guess you could call him.
He was holding the entire game and got away with it. He was hugging him the entire game.
He's better on he's like a lot of rookies. He's better against the run than he is against the pass right now. He's got some things to learn against the pass for sure.
The other thing late in the fourth quarter,
Carter, I'll tell you that.
After they went up 20-14, the Bears just all of a sudden got complacent and were like, oh, we can just sit on a lead. You're not good enough to just sit on a lead versus anybody. I don't care what team you're playing, especially the Detroit Lions, who are one of the better teams in the NFC.
You don't have a defensive line. Your offensive line, your backup center can't count.
Well, we've said time after time, what's the strength of this team? Rushes off the edge, roll out passes for the quarterback. And you did none of that. You ran straight up the gut. The entire fourth quarter, you ran straight up the gut.
Yeah, there wasn't one pitch.
The one time you ran off the edge in the fourth quarter was a run with Freeman, where you ran the ball off the edge and he ran it for 12 yards. You didn't run it off the edge the rest of the way. You didn't run off. And not only that, but why did you stop letting Fields beat Justin Fields? It's just like they were last year, man. Fields does whatever he wants for the first half, for the first three quarters, and then you just cut him off. You stop letting him play ball, and you lose the game, and then you're surprised that you lose. Are you playing for a draft pick again? Are the Bears tanking again?
I don't know. You can't get players to tank, and they're not. They can't be tanking.
No, but you can get a coaching staff to tank.
That's the thing. Everything is working against itself. Like, you got an offensive coordinator that wants a guy who can't throw more than 5 yards. You got a head coach who's also the defensive coordinator because his buddy got fucking fired. You got everything is working against itself. Like, even if Poles wants to lose and get a better pick this season, like they're fighting for their lives down here. You got it. It's not the GM's quarterback. It's not the coach's quarterback. They would all like somebody else. Yeah, you'd like somebody else who doesn't have a cannon for an arm and can run like that. Yes, let's do that. Let's get somebody else.
It's like the TikTok I sent you yesterday, right? They said it's a girl. She does a great job. I forget her name. Oh, it's not Carissa Thompson. She doesn't make this stuff up. It's a female. She's very pretty. She does a whole lot of NFL skits. And what she does is she talks through NFL coaches. And she came out as Matt Eberflus. And she goes, what are you going to do this week, Matt? He's like, we got something up our sleeve. And one of the other coaches goes, what, 4 more screen passes? He's like, no, we got 4 screen passes to the right this time. She's like, get out of here, Matt. Like, that's what this team does. They're so predictable. They do the thing. They do everything they can. It looks like they do what they can to lose.
Yeah, when nothing's working together, when everything is like totally out of sort, like that is the organization that's helping do that. It's like if the Bears fought the league as well as they fight themselves or try to beat themselves, they'd be a better team. I mean, this team, yes, it doesn't have the talent to be a world beater. It was never going to win a championship.
They've got a lot of talent on this team. I disagree.
There's some talent. No, I'm just saying they're not. I don't think they have championship caliber talent. I think you need a good left tackle. I think you need a good defensive line for that.
Jeremiah with the comment of the day. Matty Eberflus is as exciting as a butterscotch enema.
Is there liquor in that butterscotch? Is my question.
Look, let me pose the question to you this way, and let me tell you, if you can make it make sense for me, other than the conclusion that I've come to that they're tanking, I'll do it. When you are an NFL head coach, and when you are an NFL offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator and a GM, and you see something is working and you are dominating for 3 quarters and you just go away from all of it in the fourth quarter, what is the reason that you're doing that other than trying to not win the game?
Because you have the spine of a rubber band.
Why don't you just keep doing what's working? Why wouldn't you just continue to do all the things that have gone well for the first 3 quarters and that have given you a 12-point lead into the fourth quarter, which probably could have been expanded had you continued with the plan that you were going? Because they had a beautiful game plan for 3 quarters.
They did have a pretty good game plan for 3 quarters.
So why why don't they do it in the fourth quarter?
Because you're spineless. I mean,
no, that doesn't make sense though.
Why?
You have to have it make sense. Like, it's got the only thing that makes sense, because you're just trying to come up with a reason other than they're trying to lose. And their spineless isn't that reason, because they weren't spineless for 3 quarters.
Well, it went 3 quarters isn't the final quarter. Like, it's not like, okay.
But you just got to keep doing what you're doing to win the game. You're doing it already. There's not one other coach in the NFL that I could think of that goes away from what's working in the fourth quarter.
There's a lot of coaches that play prevent defense. There's a lot of coaches that'll run the ball a lot. But you have to know Khalil Herbert.
But those are the teams that are 8-3, 9-1. Those are the teams that have proven sustained success that can rely on that. And if they do end up blowing 1 game or 2 games, it's not going to matter, because they're still going to finish at 12-5 or 13-4 or 14-3. And those things don't matter. The Bears don't have that luxury. The Bears are not that organization. The Bears are not that team. And this coaching staff is not that coaching staff. And they have to realize that. Somebody's got to tell them that.
Yeah, I don't know why they're playing like they have something to lose, because they really don't. Playoffs were never going to happen. They're not going to rip off a bunch of wins, and even if they did, it wouldn't be enough to get into the playoffs. That was never going to happen. So I don't know why they're playing scared in this game. I don't think they're doing it on purpose. If you come to Matt Eberflus's office and say, "Yeah, we want to lose this game," what coach is going to take that? I don't think any coach is going to take that into account during a game. I mean, I don't even know. You're already going to get a top 3 pick, because the Carolina Panthers are terrible. They make the Bears look great. I mean, I just don't.
Bryce Young is awful.
Yeah, wow. I didn't think he'd be awful. I thought he'd be hurt.
CJ Stroud's the MVP. I mean,
that's a big swing.
CJ Stroud is a stud.
You've traded for all that, and the Texans are like,
well,
nah.
Say they're not going to string together a bunch of wins. So you've got the Vikings next, who on Monday Night Football, who are playing out of their minds with a quarterback that nobody thought was any good. As a matter of fact, the Arizona Cardinals traded him so that they could bring back the Call of Duty warrior and Kyler Murray. And then you get a bye week, and then you get to play the Lions again at home this time. But then after that, you get the Browns, who just lost their starting quarterback for the year, but still have a pretty good defense. Then you get the Cardinals, the Falcons, and the Packers. All of these games, minus the Lions, are winnable games. And even the Lions is really, you proved yesterday it's a winnable game. There's no reason why you can't win these games other than the fact that you keep doing what you're already doing, and that is putting together a perfectly good game plan for 3 quarters and then just taking it out. So you're either sabotaging and trying to lose, or you're sabotaging Justin Fields' future in Chicago.
It's like the difference between a waiter who has like a tray full of a bunch of food and drinks and stuff and comes gliding in with it, and then you got the other waiter who's coming in all timid and slow, and that's Everflus, and all the freaking glasses just crash everywhere.
I do want to fight.
Combs does want to fight. Combs gibberish.
It boggles my mind. Like, even like today, Matt Eberflus gets asked about Braxton Jones being pulled off, and he said, "Oh yeah, he was pulled off by the refs. We had him evaluated, and then he was returned to us. He passed concussion protocol." Then they followed up. Well, on the sidelines, he was mouthing that he couldn't see. He couldn't see. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know anything about that." How do you not know? How do you? First of all, it was common sense. The guy lost a contact. He lost a contact. He couldn't see, and that's what he was trying to tell the referee. And the referee said, "Oh, we got to bring you off for concussion protocol because of misunderstanding." That's understandable. It is not understandable for the head coach to say, "Oh yeah, I don't know anything about that." You're the head freaking coach.
You should know.
You should absolutely know. But this is what he does all the time.
No, like, yeah, we got to, like, what Nagy used to say, stuff like, "Yeah, I got to check the film." Were you on the sidelines?
Yeah,
just going back over the plays, or
the Lucas injury. Yeah, it was unfortunate. We're gonna let the league look into that. But it is what it is. Are you kidding me? Are you, like, that is your response to one of your players getting blindsided and injured?
Yeah,
that is your response. That is your time to lose your mind. Get a fine and have your guy's back.
We'll talk to the league.
Yeah, just get the hell out of here, man. Jim Harbaugh might be the answer, but I really don't think that this organization, as in the McCaskies, will bring in a Jim Harbaugh, because he's going to demand too much responsibility. He's going to demand too much control.
Yeah, who knows if Poles will want to give up some of that control or not.
I mean, look, we're still only a year into Kevin Warren's tenure. We're still only a year into it. Your brother, Ron Rivera. I like Ron Rivera. I don't know that I want him as my head football coach.
Yeah.
I do like Ron Rivera. They've got to go and get the right guy, and they do need a guy like Jim Harbaugh. They do need a guy with proven success in the NFL. They do need a guy who can come in and take control of this roster and get this thing moving forward. Ryan Poles, Kevin Warren, to me, has not shown me anything yet. To me, Kevin Warren is still sitting in the same spot where Ryan Poles is at. A guy who I believe is intelligent enough to run this team and keep it moving forward. To me, it's two guys that know football, but they are both standing pat. They're both standing back and allowing this to happen. I want my GM, I want my president of football operations to look at this garbage that we have on the field week in and week out and say, this is not enough. This is not what the Bears organization is. This is not what we are going to be moving forward. Get the hell out of here. If the damn Las Vegas Raiders can do it, who do nothing but sign convicts, why can't we?
That's the other thing. Hearing stuff from Halas Hall, who knows what's true and what isn't, but that's what they're saying, is that there's nobody there to take over, or for Matt to take over. There's nobody there. If there's nobody there, then your organization is even worse than we thought. If there's nobody there to take over this team, you can't have a loss like that, which is an historic loss, by the way. Teams are 48-0 when they have three turnover are +3 in turnovers and have the ball for 40 minutes. It's happened 48 times in the history of the league, and 48 times the team won until yesterday.
We need a bear, someone who loves the Bears, who is a bear, to coach this team, period. Jim Harbaugh is a bear.
And John Harbaugh. No.
Jim Harbaugh is a bear.
Yeah, I mean, you need a sure thing. I think Doubting Thomas said, yeah, they won't hire Harbaugh. He's only won everywhere he's been. Yeah, that's a sure thing. He's a community builder. He brings talent with him. I mean, I've heard the guy talk in interviews. He doesn't seem very smart. That's what shocks me, that he's ever been this good of a coach. But he's a team builder. He's a community builder. That's what you need.
FBI is investigating Michigan. It has nothing to do with Connor Stallion, so there might be some extra heat on Harbaugh. Look, perfect. We've got FBI involved in this coaching staff too. What do we care?
What's the fucking difference? You have 2 coaches fired. Like, could anything be worse than this? And don't say the White Sox, or I'll shove this tree up your ass, Combs.
Look, that tree would have made more sense to have a White Sox topper if it had less branches. Like you need like 3 branches on each side, like a foot apart, and then that would be a great White Sox tree. We're going to talk the White Sox here in a little bit, much to your chagrin, but we are going to talk White Sox. I want to get through this Bear stuff though. I look, John. Look, if they hire Ron Rivera, I wouldn't be mad. I know you want. I wouldn't be mad. I'm just not certain that is the guy to lead this team. I watched him and what he did in Carolina. I watched him and what he did in Washington, and there's a reason why he's been out at both places. I just think he's past his leadership ability. Coordinator, bring him in as a coordinator. I'd be fine with that. Yeah, he was a great defensive coordinator when he was here. Except he cost us a Super Bowl. But we'll forget about that and let you come on in. Like I look. No one wants to talk about the FBI incident. They won't. The Bears won't talk about anything. They don't talk about anything. No, even when we know Justin Fields is out, they don't talk about it. No, he's out, but he's doubtful. 50-50. We're gonna have to evaluate him tomorrow, but 51% chance he won't play. The fuck?
In that incoherent rambling. Nowhere in that incoherent rambling did you arrive at an answer.
Yes.
I can't believe he's not gone. Even with the Bears the way they are, I can't believe he's not gone. Like, do the guy a favor. Like, when he's up there at the podium, it's like, please. It is kind of like the White Sox when Robin Ventura was like, fire me. I don't even want to be a manager. Why am I here? What is going on? Like, he doesn't even want to be up there. He looks like a guy that is being squeezed. He looks like a sausage that's being squeezed at one end. And soon his head is going to explode. That great haircut. That great hair.
He you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of a mix of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. like when Donald Trump was president, he would always talk so much that he would get caught up in lies. But Joe Biden, who talks so much that you can't understand a word that he's saying, and he sounds like he's got dementia. That's who Matt Eberflus is. He's a combination. He's their love child. He's the Joe Biden and Donald Trump love child.
Is that really a question?
He's got Donald Trump's hair and Joe Biden's brain.
I think Donald Trump wish he had Matt Eberflus.
Well, he does. I mean, he just purchases it. Are you ready to give these people what they came here for?
For the Fitzgibberish?
Let's do it.
Let's go! You heard it. It's a diatribe. It's a conspiracy theory. And it's an island in the middle of unapologetic and, pretty accurate today, but inaccurate sports talk. We're going to start today with a video. We're going to start with Luke Ketzke, obviously the Bears offensive coordinator. The other is Jared Goff after the now historic win over your backwards Bears. We get our aluminum tinfoil hats on to talk about scripted games. The Bears lost to the Lions yesterday in a different script altogether.
do you feel pressure in these final 7 games to make it obvious that Justin Fields is the franchise quarterback going forward?
No, I mean, maybe it's fair for them to have to think that way and do that thing, but I think it's from our perspective, it's about us getting better as a unit each and every day. And I think Justin's a big part of us getting better each and every day. And so if he grows and gets better, then we're going to grow.
I'd say, yeah, sometime in the last few years is when that kind of, as you grow older as a quarterback, you kind of understand in those scenarios that there is an avenue to win. You may not feel it, you may not know it, but you can find it and you can get there. And new for us, we had to score quickly, before the 2-minute warning, we'd have a good chance. They drive it down. I think prior to that, when they handed the ball off on 3rd and 10 and then kicked the field goal, you go, okay, they're letting us have a chance to win this with 2 touchdowns. Like,
Coach Fitz is back, baby. Giving us a chance with 2 touchdowns. The following is a reenactment between Justin Fields and his new QB coach, Ryan Fitzgibberish. Following a disastrous 31-26 loss to the Lions, Justin, did you see Gutsy? I had an open question to praise you and talks about the entire team instead. And Jared Goff talks about how Gutsy's inability to have faith in Fields gave Detroit an opening. That's the same Goff who didn't know in which direction the sun set. True story. Look it up.
3 interceptions.
And had 3 interceptions. Justin, I want you to forget about Mr. Personality Luke Gutsy and what he said in the presser before the game. The man looks like he collected scabs as a kid and his mom breastfed him until he was 15 years old. If the jackass doesn't want to understand how to unlock your ever-developing abilities, he can have fun coaching convicts in the Chicago Penal League. We certainly have enough criminals in this state to choose from. When someone doesn't feel the pressure to compliment your game, instead of belittling it, he's either stupid or negligent. And watching this team, he's probably fucking both. He says he wants to see the entire unit develop. What about the most important position in sports? The quarterback. Should we start there, Gutsy? You have a goddamn cannon, Fields. That is only outmatched by your elusive legs. And you probably shouldn't use those legs for dancing anymore, even though it was good to see you be happy actually playing in a Bears uniform. Actually, you did dance like Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry Maguire without the mounting sexual harassment cases. Sorry, Cuba. But I digress. Right now, you are tied for 8th in QB TDs and 13th in the league in QB rating, having only played in 6.5 games out of the 11. Plus, you have your scab-eating OC holding you back, calling 2 of the same screenplays in a row during one game and having you throw 2 passes, which I was corrected by, 1 pass in the 4th quarter of a game you were the best player in. Fight me! Sure, the Bears organization makes a dumpster fire look like a delicious pig roast, and you could do far better, but please have patience and do one thing for me. When I was a little Fitzgibberish and my nose resembled a button instead of a sickle, my grandfather used to get tired of listening to my grandmother. And you know what he did? He would lift his finger to his ear and lower his hearing aid with his fingernail. I know what you're thinking. Some men have coke nails and some men have, I have been trying to shut this woman up for 50 years, and this is the only thing I can do that works, nails. There was a QB here who had a similar dismissive attitude than my grandfather. He mostly smoked, rode stationary bikes, got sacked, and threw picks, but he also didn't give a fuck. His name was Jay Cutlass Cutler. And during a game, he told Super Bowl champion Mike Martz to go fuck himself. It's time to lower your hearing aid, Justin. Tune out, Gutsy, and dance, my friend. Combs. That's Fitzgibberish.
We need you in a Bears locker room before every game. Wearing that getup. You know what you remind? Oh, God.
I should have got Bud Light.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's funny you put
You're
on
like the Bears version of Steve Bartman.
Is that your transition? Wonderful transition, Combs.
That is a wonderful transition. You were spot on though with Fitzgibberish, man. It's an absolute joke, and it's not gonna get any better. We can go about it. We could probably talk about this for 5 hours, and it would be the greatest show of all time. But we're gonna move on so we can watch.
But where are the coaches telling him that he's good?
They don't have them. They don't have them. They don't have a coaching staff that knows how to develop talent. They don't have a coaching staff that knows how to use talent. They don't have a coaching staff that knows how to treat talent. And it's apparent in everything that they do. That stuff that Getsy was talking about with it's a team thing and we gotta be. Shut up, man.
Yeah.
Shut up, because he was your whole offense yesterday. It's absolutely like I said, it's either they're trying to lose or they're trying to sabotage Justin's time in Chicago.
It's ego. Yeah.
So it's neither here nor there. Let's get to some good Chicago sports talk before we get back to bad Chicago sports talk afterwards. The Chicago Cubs announced Craig Counsell, and I know Brewers fans, to their chagrin, did not like the move. I even had one on our radio show this past week on WIMS on sportsonchicago.com. We had one of the Packers fans from Dad's with Bacon come on our show and talk about why he was so upset and how the Brewers fans feel betrayed by Craig Counsell. And I respected his opinions, and I respected the way that he did everything. But in the end, I still say, haha. We got your guy.
From a baseball standpoint, I think I saw quickly that the organization is just in great health, and that Jed presented a very compelling vision of that. It is time to be a Cub, right? There is momentum happening here, and it feels close. And that means there's a really exciting future ahead of us.
And it's time to be a Cub. And those are probably...
Miles Mastrobuoni won't be playing third base this season.
No, he absolutely will not, and I can't wait for that. But I like those words, and I actually think that that'll probably be on a T-shirt you can find somewhere outside of Wrigley Field this year. And it's going to say it's time to be a Cub. And I liked the hire of Craig Counsell. I mean, I made no bones about it that I was not a big David Ross guy. I love David Ross. Don't get me wrong. As a person, as a player, as a manager, I just felt like it was time for a new voice in that locker room. And I think Craig Counsell is the perfect voice in that locker room. I like the hire. I hated him when he was in Milwaukee, but mostly I hated him because of how successful he made Milwaukee and how good he made them. And I feel like, look, I think he gives them, because he was really angry about, he did not want to trade Josh Hader, and they didn't tell him about the Hader trade. And he was very upset by that. I think he gives the Cubs an inside edge to get Josh Hader this offseason as a free agent. What do you think about the Counsell deal?
Lots of guys. I mean, he's a manager that players want to play with. It's all about, and this is something they don't get. It's all about, now it's all about, and sports has changed. It's been a while that it's been this way, but it's about attracting talent now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're obviously guys, if you have a competent manager, at least competent, like a Bruce Bochy, like an AJ Hinch, like a Craig Counsell. I don't know, and nobody really knows. I'd say we just talked about the sport where the coach is the most important. I always thought football was, maybe basketball close second. Baseball, we just don't know how much that matters, but the proof is in the pudding when you got the record. He's still very young. He's still hungry. I mean, it hasn't won a championship yet. He has all the things you'd want. Very smart. You want a player who is a try-hard player usually to be your coach because they end up being good coaches because they're fundamentally sound. That's why they were good in try-hard players or white players. But anyway, I mean, I there's nothing bad about this. How many wins it gets them, I don't know. But, Doubting Thomas had that stat the one time Cubs would have been close to winning the division if Ross was even close to 500 or close to their predictive win percentage this past
Right.
year. I think it was like 580 something what they should have been, and they weren't. And sometimes a lot of managers, a lot of good managers are over that number. So just to be at that number, and Ross was well below. Good guy, smart guy, but Ross too. But this is definitely a step up. This is an upgrade.
And entering September, they were 94% chance to win and get into the playoff. And so, and by the way, the Bears have had 94% chance to win a game heading into the fourth quarter 3 times this year. Just throwing it out there. But anyway, I like the hire.
Anyway.
I know. I like the hire. I like what they're doing, and I liked a lot of what he said. Here's what he said on, again, all these clips coming from the Marquee Network. So just have to throw that out there because that's how we get copyrighted. But from the Marquee Network during Craig Counsell's press conference, here's what he had to say about Jed Hoyer's vision.
You answered a little bit, but can you expand a little more on what Jed's plan sold you on, like what the recipe looks like for making soup here?
Yeah. Hi, Deanne. I think, truthfully, Jed's vision was really just of kind of, to me, the health of what we look like going forward. And this process was fast. I don't know that I've joked with Carter already that I don't know much about the Cubs. But I believed in how Jed sold the vision. Absolutely. And that was impactful to me. I know enough about the city, the franchise, the history, just baseball in general, that I know how it works, and so the vision that he presented of kind of excitement and where the franchise is at kind of in on a big picture level, we've still got to get a lot of decisions right. You got to get a lot right still, but it's a really healthy place to start.
And so we lost Fitz at some point during that. I'm not sure what happened, but all of a sudden his camera went away. But at any rate, Craig Counsell talks about Jed Hoyer's vision. He talks about, getting it right. And I like what I saw from Jed Hoyer there, from Craig Counsell there, talking to Jed Hoyer, saying, you still got some stuff to get right. You've still got to get it right for me to be able to manage this team. And that's something that I need from a manager. That's something that the White Sox are going to need from a manager. That's something that the Bears need from a head coach. That's something that you need to look at the GM and be like, hey, look, I need you to get me the parts. If you get me the parts, I can lead this thing. And I need that to happen. And I thought that was a great thing from Craig Counsell and the way that he handled that and the way that he kind of put it on Jed. Hey, look, you've still got to get me the right pieces. Now, later on, he talked to Craig, or he talked about the 23 Cubs. He was asked about that. Let's take a listen to that.
Hey, Craig, Sahadev Sharma with The Athletic. You've obviously faced the Cubs a ton throughout your career. I'm curious about the 2023 team. What stood out to you in facing them, strengths, how they played in the roster in general?
Yeah, so, I mean, the 2023 Cubs team, had a good season. There's a core to that team. It's 83 wins, and that means that there's things that are close, right? What you have to be careful about is that, what happened last year does not indicate this year. And I think teams are different. I've used this analogy for a long time, but there's a soup made, and it can be the same players, but it's going to taste a little different next year when Grandma makes it. You know what I mean? And so it's always a little different, and you have to create a new dynamic every single year, no matter what's going on. And so there'll be players that have had wonderful years last year that are not so much, and vice versa. But there's a solid core and a solid foundation, and that speaks to the health, I think, of the organization, and that speaks to a bright future.
So he said that speaks to the health of the organization, speaks to a bright future. It looks like we maybe have Fitz back. Let's see if we can bring him back. You there, stupid? I can't hear you. Gotta unmute yourself, rookie.
I'm back.
All right.
All right. Got me.
So what you missed since you dropped off, I don't know how much of it you've been able to hear, but Craig Counsell, in the previous one that I played, said to Jed Hoyer, he looks at Jed towards the end of it, and he's like, there's a lot of things we still got to get right. And he looks at Jed and he goes, you still got to get some things right. And I said, that's what we need from a manager. That's what you want from your manager, to look at your GM and say, hey, look, you get me the pieces, I can lead this thing. And that's something that the Sox need. That's something that the Bears definitely need. That's something the Hawks need. Something we desperately needed in this city. And I was happy to hear Craig Counsell say that about Jed. And then in this last part, he talks about the 2023 Cubs and talking about how they have a solid foundation for what is leading them into the future. What are your thoughts about that? Oh, looks like we lost him again. I guess he has no thoughts about that. Hey, you got that Walmart Wi-Fi going on, Fitz? What's going on?
I don't know what the hell's going on.
You got to move the computer closer to Walmart.
I'm taking up their Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on. I think we're better now. I think we're good now.
All right.
Stable.
So what are your thoughts about what the way Counsell handled Jed Hoyer and talking about the foundation of the Cubs?
I think that's a lot different than the way, Pedro Gafal handles a press conference. Especially the way he talks about the players that he's given. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you want from a manager, is to say those things. Give me the tools. He should be saying that to them. I mean, we talked about the whole Shohei Ohtani thing. He's making soup, Graham.
He did in that he said it's he said just because the 2023 Cubs won 83 games, he's like, leading into next year, his analogy was, every year, no matter what you did the year before, it's like a recipe for like grandma's soup. Like grandma makes it one year and it's delicious, and then the next year it's not quite the same. It's not, maybe she did something different. You got to have that recipe for success.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's a great pickup by them. I think it's a great hire. I think he's going to make a lot of sense. I think even when he does something wrong, his moves are going to make a lot of sense, and players respect that. People respond to that. It's kind of weird. Like the whole Jed Hoyer thing to me is still kind of weird. He said, Ross did a great job, excellent job. He didn't have to say any of that stuff. Just say he did a good job, and then you can the guy right afterwards. That's a little weird to me, but other than that, great pick. Counsell's one of the best managers in the league. I mean, the Brewers did some bewildering stuff in the offseason that we talked about.
Yeah.
Trading a few guys that they probably shouldn't have.
And he's, look, Craig Counsell is one of those guys, but like you said, with Jed Hoyer's backing of David Ross and the way that he talked about Rossi, it kind of gave you that Ricky Renteria feel, right? Like, hey, we have a guy who's doing a pretty decent job here. But we have this opportunity to go get this guy that we really, really want. Now, in the Cubs case, that was Joe Madden. In the Sox case, that was
really question.
And Tony La Russa might not have, I saw Jared, or maybe it was Doubting Thomas earlier that said, TLR wasn't sure why he was even there. But, it's just one of those things. But they asked Craig Counsell about David Ross and about taking his job. And here's what he had to say.
I don't know what your relationship's like with David Ross, but undoubtedly you cross paths as players and as managers. What what are the emotions like getting this job in the manner that it happened, and has there been any contact with David since?
Yeah, I mean, look, David is a very good man. David texted me probably before the news broke here, and I called him back immediately. We had what I think is a very good conversation. That gave me, I've always had great respect for David. That gave me the ultimate respect for David, the way he handled the conversation. So this is part of this business is really difficult and it's really cutthroat. And as a player, I've lived it, David's lived it. Every player lives it every day. But I respect the heck out of David Ross.
And I think he says a lot of it right there, right? Like, part of this business is really cutthroat. A part of this business is what it is. And we've lived that as players. And now you're kind of in that position where you're both managers. And look, I mean, it's just, it's clear and obvious. There was one guy who was good and one guy who was better at his job right now. And right now, the Cubs went out and they got the better guy. As Jeremiah Murray says, congrats, Combs, you got a good one, you fuck.
Jeremiah did a pretty good job last week filling in.
He did a great job filling in. I watched the show. I was not sure what to expect, but he did his thing, man. He was really good. Jeremiah, anytime you want to come and join us on the show, man, we can run a three-way.
Yeah, well, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, back to Craig Counsell, I guess. Yeah, good hire. It showed some balls too, which you always want to see in your GM, to have little balls. I mean, even when Ryan Pace was terrible, at least he had some balls. Pohl seems to have some balls. I'm not sure what Chris Getz has or Sleepy Tony, but I digress. It's good. Now go get some fucking players. Now go spend some money. Quit with this biblical shit. You're printing money over there on the north side and you're worried about the luxury tax. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, they're about to go and spend some money. I think the hiring of Craig Counsell, making him the highest paid manager, signifies that you're going to go and spend some money, because you're not going to give this guy this contract and make this change at this time when you already had a manager if you're not going to go out and make some moves, if you don't believe that you're going to be a contender starting this year. And ever since Craig Counsell was hired, I called you up and we had a conversation, because the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes have gotten really interesting. And I did not believe that the Cubs were going to be in on it, but there are a lot of sources around the league. There are people that I have talked to that are actually involved with the team, whether it's production staff, whatever the case is, people that are involved with the team that talk to people that are around the team that believe that the Cubs are really going to be players for Shohei Ohtani. Now, they're going to have to pay. And here's my thing with Shohei Ohtani, and then I want to get your opinion on it too. I'm not willing to go 9 or 10 years on Ohtani unless it's incentive laden. Like, you want to give him, 320 guaranteed, you want to give him 280 guaranteed, you want to give him 350 guaranteed, that's fine. But the other 150 million, other 120 million, other 100 and whatever $million that it is, has to be if you pitch this many innings over the next 5 years. If you are a Cy Young in the top 5 of the Cy Young in the next 5 years, you get this much. If you're an MVP candidate, you get this much. Because I can't give a DH $500 million in 10 years. I can't give a DH that type of contract. But I can give Shohei Ohtani, the two-way playing Shohei Ohtani, that. But I don't know what you're going to be pitching-wise coming off of your second Tommy John surgery. So, for me, the play is to go after Juan Soto, which has been rumored, to go after Pete Alonso, which has been rumored. Get one of those two guys. Go get yourself Matt Chapman. Go get yourself maybe Blake Snell or a top end starter. And then get yourself a Josh Hader. Go out and get some bullpen help. Go get a Jordan Montgomery from Texas. Go get Will Smith from Texas that are both free agents now. You go get those guys and you go add those other pieces. You still sign Shohei Ohtani? I'm all in. I'm all in. And if you get those guys and then you add Juan Soto or you add Pete Alonso, again, I'm all in. But I don't think you can give that guy, Shohei Ohtani, that contract to just be a DH.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? It's not your money. I mean, they're printing money over there.
But it's still the organization that I root for, and I don't want to see them handcuff themselves.
Handcuff with what?
Well, because there is still a thing called a luxury tax. There is still a thing called penalties. And as a business, you still have to make money. And Jeremiah Murray says Wrigley will be sold out every game. You'll make that money back. Ohtani pays for himself.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
Viewership wise too, which they're more worried about anyway. Like I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand why you care about the money. There's no salary cap in baseball. They're printing money over there. You pay enough to go to a fucking game in that stadium. Like, just pay the guy. I mean, if you really want him, if you think he's the piece that's going to give you a championship, you got to pay him. And having all these stipulations sounds a little bit like Jerry Reinsdorf, I have to say. I don't want. Why do you have to have all these stipulations? I mean, he'll just go to the Dodgers. The Dodgers aren't going to have this many. I mean, every contract is incentive laden, or most of them are. I don't know if the Dodgers are going to ask for this much from him. And why would he? And there's a human point here. Why would he sit on a flight another 6-7 hours round trip to get home, to go to the Cubs when the Cubs have all these stipulations? I don't know. I don't know what his price is going to end up being. He's obviously can't get the same contract as he got before his second Tommy John surgery. I don't know if he expects that much now, but you're going to have to give him years. It's not going to be the money. It's going to be the years, I think. And hey, if the Cubs don't want to do that, I think the Dodgers will be more than happy to.
Yeah. And look, I sent you a tweet that I saw last week that says it's basically going to be a 2-team bidding war between the Dodgers and the Cubs. And I've told you I felt Seattle was in, but it just came out the other day on Saturday. I believe I read the report that the Mariners have said that they're probably likely out on Ohtani.
See, that makes some sense because the Mariners don't have Cubs or Dodgers money to just throw around.
No, but they're close to winning and they're close to building something real there. They've got a really good, solid young team in Seattle. And I felt like adding Ohtani to that, even if it is just as a DH for this season and possibly a top 2 or 3 starter in your rotation the following year. I mean, I felt like it would make sense for them. It makes sense for the Cubs. I mean, I agree with you. It does make sense. Look, if you're not worried about the money, then fine. I'm just saying Ohtani can't be your only piece is my big thing. No. If you're going to give him that money and he's your only piece, then I'm out. I don't want that.
Then you're idiotic. Yes. Why would you get Ohtani and then just, run out his contract with, the same old with Miles Mastrobuoni playing third base? That's not going to happen. If they get Ohtani, they've got to add more. He is not going to be enough to win a championship, or probably enough.
Yeah, and Downey Thomas says Cubs don't have a history of throwing around huge money, do they? Well, they do, but they throw it around in the wrong places normally, and that's what I'm afraid of.
Soriano,
Alfonso Soriano, Jason Hayward, 2 really big contracts that just to me, look, Soriano was really good. And Hayward, other than a rain delay speech in the weight room, he didn't really pay off. And again, as long as he's not, if you go out and get Ohtani, you still have to realize you need a third baseman, you need a first baseman. Like, are you getting Ohtani? Are you getting Belly? What are you doing with Ohtani? And that's where you have to look ahead. So if the Cubs are saying, look, we're going to get Ohtani and we're going to get all these pieces too, let's do it. All in. You're right. It's not my money. I don't care, but I don't want them to handcuff themselves for the future. I want sustained success is what I'm rooting for.
Yeah,
I'm not rooting for just 3 or 4 years. I'm rooting for a 10-year run of being the top team in the NL Central and being a team that is perennially talked about being the World Series favorite in the National League.
Yeah, I don't. If you get Ohtani and you're not spending any more money, I could see if he goes to the Dodgers, they don't need to do as much as the Cubs have to do. Maybe a little bit on the pitching side. They do need starting pitching. They're going after Dylan Cease. I know that, but
yeah,
I think the Cubs have to do something more. I mean, whether it's sign Bellinger. If I'm the Sox, if I'm the Seattle Mariners, if I'm the Reds, if I'm those teams, you can't be on the Ohtani thing because that does subtract from other places. This is baseball, though. There's 6 or 7 teams that are printing money. I mean, the Dodgers got more money than anybody. The money they make off TV is ridiculous.
Yeah,
billions of dollars, billions.
Well,
so
look,
they could pay the luxury tax all day till the cows come home.
I would be more than excited to see it happen. Would it be the biggest free agent signing in Chicago sports history?
Well, you got Andrew Benintendi. You got Albert Bell. No, yeah. I think it's pretty easy. I mean, I guess you could, right now, yeah. I mean, I guess you could say one of Jordan's contracts, but those are so outdated at this point. They're not even worth talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, he was your guy. It's not really a free agent that you're bringing in. I'm talking about free agent, biggest free agent signing. Like, has there ever been obviously there's never been a player like Ohtani. So, but what I'm saying is, like, has there ever been such an impactful player on any team that has been signed as a free agent?
No, I don't think so.
Khalil Mack, maybe.
I
think Khalil Mack. I mean, you got Khalil Mack in a trade, but then you went out and signed him. I mean, that was huge, but he only really panned out for 1 year.
Yeah, but we're not talking about panning out. We're just talking about, name, player. Yeah, he'd be close, but I think Ohtani, the guy has a chance to be the best baseball player of all time.
Doubting Thomas says Jerry is going to get Trevor Bauer on a discount.
As soon as I put this hot poker in my ass, I'm going to chop my dick off.
Trevor Bauer deserves a chance. His video was amazing, by the way, on Twitter. When he called that girl out, that was the greatest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. And I applaud that man for it. And if the White Sox get him, I will go to just about every game that he pitches at home.
What? Why?
Because he is a national treasure. The way that you love Lance Lynn, I love Trevor Bauer.
I do not love Lance Lynn.
Stop that!
You don't love him now, but I'm gonna pull audio from earlier this year when I was talking about Lance Lynn, and you called him a national treasure. So we're gonna talk about that.
Okay, for a guy who grabs his balls that much and can still throw a pitch.
Speaking of which, Jeremiah says, I think we all know what the Cubs' history is. So let's talk about your team's history then, sir. Shall we?
No.
Let's talk about the Chicago White Sox.
Is that really a question?
Let's talk about the Chicago White Sox, sir. White Sox, Jerry Reinsdorf said...
You want to lose the few listeners we have left? Why? Sell the team, Jerry!
Jerry Reinsdorf said a little over a month ago now, just a little over a month ago, that Chris Getz was hired because they wanted to turn this team around, and they wanted to turn it around quickly. And since then, they've released Liam Hendricks, who probably wasn't going to pitch next year anyway. They've released Tim Anderson, probably the face of the franchise over the last 5 years or so. And now there's rumors that Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert could be on their way out.
Yeah, Eloy can take his weirdly shaped pear body and saunter on down the road with his I'm going to get hurt again walking.
You're okay with Eloy going?
Hey, if they get something decent for him, okay. Bye-bye.
What are you getting for him?
Probably
a guy who's often injured. What are you getting for him?
I don't know. People
a single A relief pitcher.
He can be a great hitter. if he could, not get hurt while running, which is a part of baseball. Last I checked.
This just in, he just got hurt now listening to the podcast.
Luis Robert, I mean, there's no package really with his sweetheart deal that he has, I think till like 27. You can't let go of him. There's no replacing that guy. You're just not going to replace a guy who probably should have won the Gold Glove this year, at least top 5 in Gold Glove, won the Silver Slugger award. Your only good player. I mean, that's a cornerstone. That's who you start with. He's young enough. He's under control. Like, there's no reason to trade him now. I mean, maybe in a couple years. I don't know when he's getting closer to the end of his contract, but you can't trade him now. I don't see the point of that. I think that's dumb. I guess the Dylan Cease thing makes some sense. I don't know if you're trying to retool, which I think is dumb anyway. Like, don't do half measures in sports. But if you're trying to do that, you're not talking about getting rid of these guys. I mean, I guess the Aaron Bummer trade made some sense, even though they got 5 terrible players for one, I guess, bad reliever who was good. It just doesn't make any sense to me to even put Luis Robert in any kind of conversations. It doesn't really make sense to me to have Dylan Cease in those conversations. If you're going to try to at least act like you're competing, if Dylan Cease is gone, yeah, I mean, this is a total rebuild. It already is, but Luis Robert's not someone you leave. He's someone that could be on a good team one day. If the Sox become a totally different organization overnight. Also, Jerry Reinsdorf dies of a massive stroke.
I just don't understand how you think you're going to turn this team around so quickly by completely unraveling your roster.
Yeah, you're going to have to do a lot in free agency. If you're going to do that, you're going to have to be the Texas Rangers or something. And they're just not that.
Yeah.
They're just not that, which is kind of sad because you're in the third market in the country. You'd think you could be. I mean, it's ego and stubbornness. Like I said last week, it's, ego, stubbornness. Like, it's ridiculous.
Jeremiah tries to take a shot and says a slightly more winning history than the Cubs. However, the Cubs' all-time win percentage is .513 and the White Sox is .503. Suck it, Jeremiah Murray.
Wow, is that what you were typing while I was talking?
Yeah, I was looking up stats. You don't ever say anything important.
Jesus Christ. Cubs. You and the Cubs.
That's how you run a radio show.
Jesus Christ.
You look up stats, you talk about stuff while you're talking, I do stuff. While I'm talking, you do stuff.
When they were staying back with David Ross, you had 3 sentences.
What were you doing when your internet went out for 3 minutes because you have Walmart Wi-Fi?
I was beating off David Ross. Well, they had an okay season. And then they get Craig Counsell and you have fucking 10 minutes of fucking video.
David Ross was a joke, and I never backed up David Ross.
And this is about the time I want to stab you in the throat.
Shanna says, Reinsdorf needs to sell the Bulls too. We all know they are getting us, the fans, nothing. As for the history, look up the Black Sox. Let's talk about the Bulls.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the Chicago Bulls are looking to disband their team by the end of the month. Said to be trading Zach LaVine. Is there anybody on this roster that we can build around? I mean, Nikola Vucevic and DeRozan are both 34 years old.
No.
Who are you building around? Patrick Williams?
Kobe White looks bad, I guess. Patrick.
Do you listen to our radio show at all on Wednesdays? Me and Marcus Mack, the truth about Chicago sports.
I had a thing for work.
So he was talking in my co-host Marcus Mack on our radio show. He's black, and we were talking back and forth, and he says Kobe White is garbage, and he's going off, and he's like, and I hate Kobe White. I hate, and he started naming like 4 players with the last name White, and he's just like, and I hate all whites, and I'm like, whoa, buddy, whoa, and he's like, I mean, I hate all players with the name White, and I'm like, that's not what you said.
Offense, the entire offensive line.
I was dying. I was laughing so hard. And then afterwards, because he was doing all the producing that day, afterwards, we went to commercial and he didn't kill his mic and he got off. He's like, that was fucking awesome. And I'm like, dude, your mic's still on. Hey, you had a rough segment, buddy.
That happens. It's like your wireless signal going out.
Yeah. It's bad.
But, yeah,
Rookie.
I mean, I don't see who you're. It's another guy. Like, who are you going to get for Eloy? What are you going to get for Zach LaVine? He looks
especially when everybody knows you're trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, on the other side of his career, I guess you can get 2 teams fighting for him.
He's on a max deal.
Good 3 on a really good team. Maybe on
the Knicks
team of 2.
Does he make the Knicks better?
And they need some scoring there. I'll tell you that.
Well, I mean, Zach LaVine can get you 22 points a game in the fourth quarter when you're down by 30.
Yes. He can get you 25 points and 1 assist.
Has there ever been a bigger stat pattern in the history of the... I mean, like, he only scores either really early in the game or really late when it doesn't matter.
He was still bitching about Donovan taking him out of that game a year ago. He's like Scottie Pippen light. He's instead of not leaving a tip, he takes money from waitresses. I don't know. I mean, he's a whiner. He's soft.
Jeremiah says he's shoving PR workers on the sideline. Sounds like a New York guy.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, for all the promise he had, he's what we used to call in 90s basketball. He'd be soft. He would be a soft player.
Shanna says, Reinsdorf has lost his touch. I'm usually working during your show, and I don't think my clients would like to listen to it. They're not sports fans like me. Well, who cares about what your clients want?
Yeah.
It's your damn business. Do what you want to do.
That's why
you play our radio show.
That's why neither of us run a business.
That's true. I used to run a business.
Exactly.
No. And now I talk sports for a living.
I mean, I don't know how this thing gets better. It's not like football where you're bad and you get some picks together, you trade those picks like the Bears were able to do. It was like almost hard to see how the Bears would get out of it. Not that they're all the way out of it now, but they definitely have more draft capital and money now. And in basketball, it's so hard. You don't just trade guys in basketball. The money's got to be right too. Everybody's overpaid. No one gets rid of certain players. It's not like that. It's, there's really... I mean, let's face it, there's not as many players on a team, so nobody gets lost. It's not like, they can't pay him because they paid him. All the good players on a team get paid, and they just shuffle around the 6th man, 5th man. It's really hard to get better in basketball. You got to have a long-term plan to do so.
That's one of those sports where you need to have 3 or 4, like, of the top 20 in your lineup to be one of those sellers. I mean, look at the Lakers. The Lakers have had LeBron. They've got a star-studded cat. They can't win to save their lives come the playoffs.
The worst thing you can be in sports, and especially basketball, is mediocre.
Yeah,
you're not really doing well enough to get anywhere. And Reinsdorf loves it because he's an idiot. But there's that word. I started the show with that word. I mean, that's the worst thing you can be in any sport, but especially basketball, because you need those blue chip players.
Yeah.
You need to have the top 5 pick. You can't go 40 and 42.
Right.
You have a baseball team that goes 81 and 81. You just can't do that. You're not advancing the ball either way.
Right.
I mean, you should know that you're around a 500 team or you're not a good organization. And this is from the guy who said organizations win championships.
Jeremiah says the Bulls are stuck. Simple as that. They should have traded them all last year. That was the draft to do it, and they blew it. Look, even if you do trade these guys, who's giving you a number 1 draft pick for any of these guys? Who's giving you a high enough draft pick that it's going to matter for any of these guys? And not only that, it's going to be the same guys running this organization now that are going to be making those picks. There is nothing the Bulls can. They don't have a player right now that they can build around. And if you look at Patrick Williams and say that you want to build around him, okay, great. You need 5 guys to make him look good. Like he's not a good basketball player. He is not a guy that is going to take your organization to that next level.
He's a little timid too.
Well, there was also talks about Zach LaVine and packaging up Zach LaVine and Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan all to New Orleans for Zion Williamson. Do you go get Zion and build around Zion?
For the NBA version of Eloy Jimenez?
Exactly. A guy that can't stay healthy, a guy that is already bitching. He's 8 games in or 9-10 games in, and he's already bitching about where he's at now. Like you don't want that. Like you've got to stop. The Bulls are in purgatory. They're just like the White Sox. They're in purgatory. They've got nowhere to go. They've got nothing to build around. And even if you do trade the pieces that you do have to build around, you're not going to get much for them, except for maybe Luis Robert. But you're not going to transcend your organization by trading those pieces.
No, probably not. I mean, Dylan Cease probably gets you 2 pretty heavy prospects. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about the Sox anymore, but I guess we're back on the subject. Yeah, I just don't think there's a lot that could turn that ship around other than money, and that's not going to happen. There's not those players sitting out there anymore that you can get for a couple of years. Everybody wants a longer term contract because their rookie contracts are so damn long. It's really tough. Like you got to find a stupid team and get players, I guess, on the Sox. And I just don't think I think the Sox are the stupid team that trades away the Jake Burgers. I'm not going to put Aaron Bummer in that, but maybe trades away Dylan Cease, and he's great somewhere else. That guy he gets his slider back together. He's going to be, top 5, top 10 pitcher in this league.
Jeremiah says they would have sucked worse at the end of the year. The problem is they win 15 of 20 at the end of the year for no reason and don't have a high draft pick, and then they get a high pick they draft. They're just. He just says they draft Patrick Williams over Halliburton. Yeah, great idea. And that's what I'm saying. So even if you do trade and you do get these things and you do end up with a high draft pick, do you trust the people running the draft to do what they're going to do? That's a problem that we've had with the Bears over and over and over again. Same problem that we've had with the White Sox. Same problem that we have with the Bulls.
Are we having this conversation if Lonzo Ball is playing?
I don't know. Does Lonzo Ball really make that big of a difference?
Seem to. Great on defense. He's your 3-point threat you need. Alex Caruso's your 6th man then.
I mean, maybe. I just can't imagine a world where Lonzo Ball makes that big of a difference to a team. Like, he makes a difference. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's a great player and a great talent. If he gets healthy, they're going to be a better team with him on his roster. But they need to be like 25, 30 games better on their roster. Like, that's not what Lonzo Ball gives you 4, 5 more wins.
You need a point guard who can cover a 1 and a 2, and in a pinch maybe a 3, and can shoot threes. That's what you need, and then he does. He checks all those boxes, and was until he hurt his knee, and then was never better again, which happens a lot on Reinsdorf-led organizations.
Jeremiah Murray says Garpax was better, and that's so sad. And this organization's been sad for a long time. This organization's been sad since Derrick Rose went down. And that's really when this organization started to turn. I mean, yes, we had some down years after Jordan left, but then when we got,
Luckily got it.
Yeah, when you get that number 1 pick and you go out and you get a guy that changes your franchise, that goes out and wins an MVP, that is leading you to the playoffs, and then he blows his knees out. I mean, that altered the Bulls organization. That set them back 15, 20 years.
And with bad decisions, make that 30.
Yeah. Oh, probably 40. Until Jerry Reinsdorf kicks the bucket and they sell the team.
Anti-aging, man. He's going to outlive you.
Him and Virginia McCaskey are both going to be at my funeral laughing. Remember when he was trying to kill us?
I'm already laughing.
Wow. That's rough. You know who's not laughing is the NHL. And they're not laughing at Connor Bedard. Man, have you ever seen a player? If you go on ESPN right now and you go to the NHL section, they have a Connor Bedard tracker. They have a goal tracker, a stat tracker, a Connor Bedard stat tracker. And every time Connor Bedard does something, it's big news in the NHL, and they're pushing this kid. And look, the kid has been great. He had another point in yesterday's game. I believe he's got a point in his last 7 games, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. And look, this kid is phenomenal, and they've got to get some pieces around him. They've got to get defense. And I know the goalie stats are oddly different. Mrazek looks great when he's in net. However, for what's the backup center? Why can't I think of his name right now? What's his name? Their goalie. I'll think of it. Right. It's Soderblom. Arvid Soderblom. His numbers look worse, but like he played his butt off the other night. And they should have won that game. But the one thing that is not going on in the NHL is Connor Bedard is not getting the calls. Connor Bedard there was a play the other night where he got taken down in front of the net, and the guy basically rode his shoulders like he was giving him a piggyback ride, and the ref is standing right there looking at it and doesn't make a call. And I get the kid's 18. He's got to put on some muscle. Yeah. He's got to get into his man body. He's got to get stronger. He's going to grow into it. And when he does, he's going to be an unstoppable force in this league. But you've got to make those calls. I get that he's a rookie. You've got right now he's just getting bullied all over the place. You saw it against the Brewers or against the Bruins when Marchand backed him into the boards and just kind of sat on him and pinned him up against the boards and he couldn't move. At that point, what I'm looking for from Connor Bedard is a back check to the back of the neck. At that point, you take a penalty. You've got to stand up for yourself at some point to stop having these people bully you, and then you'll be able to get more open.
Killed. No,
you've got, especially in the first of all, the Hawks went out and got some enforcers.
And stop looking at his man body.
He's got to grow into his. He's still a small kid. He's 18 years old, playing against a bunch of grown ass men, and it shows out there the way he gets pushed around. But when he's in the open ice, there's not a player right now in the NHL that I would take over him already, and he's only 18. In the open ice, he is nasty. His wrist shot is the best shot in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of he does resemble Kane a lot. I think he's going to end up being a little bigger, hopefully be a better player, but he does resemble him a lot with the wrist shot, the backhand that he's got already, the control that he has to really shoot from different angles.
Yeah. And Shannon says when Soderblom plays, he really plays. He has not been very successful yet, right? He's 1-6. He's got a 3.86 goals against average. That's hard in the NHL to overcome. You can't, if you're making your team score 4 goals in your games to win, you're not going to be very successful goaltender. However, I will say this: he's had no defense in front of him. That game that they were playing the other night against was it was the Predators against the Nashville Predator. Soderblom played great. Soderblom looked really good, but the problem was he had no defense in front of him, and he was just getting peppered out there.
Yeah, that's tough. They need a lot of pieces. I mean, that's it. Can they build around this kid?
Yeah.
I mean,
they will. I believe they will. They've got some pieces. I think they're going to unload at the trade deadline again. I think you're going to trade some pieces. I don't know if they trade Taylor Hall. I would like to see them keep Taylor Hall and keep this pairing and allow him to bring Connor Bedard along in the NHL. I would like to see that pairing go, but they're going to trade some of their better players. They're going to trade a Corey Perry. They're going to trade a Taylor Hall. They might even trade Mrazek at the deadline, who's been sensational when he's been in there. Almost the exact opposite of Soderblom.
How many years?
What?
How many years is this going to take till they're a contender?
I would say if
they're not a team that gets in the South, and then
next year I think there'll be a team that gets in on the back end, and then the year after that I think they'll be a contender.
2 years?
I think 2 more years. I really do. I think that's about. I mean, doesn't that sound about right? I mean, this is the start of your rebuild. He was the first piece. You're probably going to get another high draft pick again this year.
Sure looked like they were rebuilding last year.
Yeah, right. But last year was the year that they tore everything down, right? You traded Kane was gone. Taves left. You said goodbye to him. So that was the year they tore everything down. This was the first year of the actual rebuild. You're probably getting another high draft pick this year. Not to mention, you can go out and get some defensive pieces next year to help you along. You become an 8 seed. You start doing some things. You talk some players into coming in as free agents. And boom, you're off. I really think that what they need is they need their Marian Hossa signing. They need that guy who can just come in and be a leader on the team and also produce numbers wise is what they'll need. Not next year, but the year after.
People always talk about Taves and Cannon for rightfully so, but Marian Hossa in some spots in the seasons and in playoffs, he was the best player on the team in certain spots.
Yeah, and I don't think they win those cups without Marian Hossa. I think if Marian Hossa is not on that team, it's a different looking team, and I think he helped Kane immensely become a professional. Because Kane early in his career was just not that. He was very talented, but he was not a professional. He was punching cab drivers. He was doing stupid stuff. And I think having Marian Hossa on the team to really settle him down really helped a lot. Brian Myers checking in. What's going on, Brian? He says the prospect pipeline is stacked too, assuming they develop. That's the other thing. The Hawks have been very good at developing talent over the years. They are rich in their minor league system. You do have some things coming up. I think the Blackhawks and the Cubs are about the only thing we're going to have to cheer for in the next 3 to 4 years, unless the Bears do some real soul searching and actually allow Kevin Warren to do his job.
Yeah, I see the same thing. There's nothing going on with the White Sox and Bulls. And yeah, you just hope that the Blackhawks can build around this kid and they don't waste his talent like so many other Chicago sports stars, but it looks like they're going in the right direction. The Bears.
Yeah.
I don't know how you keep this guy coaching. Like I said, he's begging to be fired.
Yeah, look, again, we could go on and on about this for 5 hours, but we've already been at it for an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Guys, if you guys have missed any part of the show, Brian Myers, Shanna, you guys miss any part of the show, we are out there. We're on Pandora. We're on Spotify. We are on all the podcast platforms. You can check us out there. Right now, you can check us out every Monday, same time, 7 o'clock. And also you can catch me on Wednesdays on Twitch as well. And at any time, if you guys want to check out spend some money and get some Christmas gifts or some cool memorabilia, you can check us out at at Ultimate Autographs on Twitch as well. Got some cool stuff, pulled some really cool stuff yesterday. So doing some cool things, lots of exciting things going on, but Monday's moving forward, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. As always, it's been fun, guys. Appreciate it. Lots of good conversation today. Lots of good things going on. Lots of really, really bad things with the Bears. But there are some good things to come.
Well, they always have a plan to stop Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep. White was matched up with him again. Fields climbs. Fields throws. Touchdown. 1-2 punch delivers. It's Fields to Moore for the lead.
Have a great night, guys. See you guys next week. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. Tell your enemies.